Thank you very much, councillors, senior staff, the clergy. Warm welcome to you. Declare the Temora Shire Council meeting open for the month of March, and thank you very much for your attendance. I advise that this meeting is being recorded and will be placed on Temora Shire Council's webpage for public information. The Mayor and councillors, of course, we're all reminded of our oath and our affirmation of office made under Section 23A of the Local Government Act 1993 and our obligations under the Council's Code of Conduct to disclose and appropriately manage conflicts of interest. And of course, all present today, we're reminded that whilst we're speaking, we agree that our views and comments are being recorded and published. We're also reminded that if or when that we're speaking, we're of course to be respectful to others and use the appropriate language. Temora Shire Council accepts no liability for any defamatory or offensive remarks or gestures during this council meeting. Now, I welcome to the chamber the Reverend Nathan Manwaring, who of course is the rector at St Paul's Anglican Church and past chairman of the Temora Shire Christian Leaders Group, and invite you, Reverend Manwaring, to deliver our opening prayer. Thank you.
Lord, we thank you for the privilege that it is to live in Australia, especially in this place, Temora Shire. We thank you that we live in a land of peace and opportunity, the envy of many other parts of the world. We pray for our representatives in state and federal parliament, Steph Cook and Michael McCormack. We pray also for Premier Chris Minns and Leader of the Opposition, Mark Speakman, for Prime Minister Anthony Albanese and the Leader of the Opposition, Peter Dutton. Give them wisdom to make well-informed decisions, humility to listen carefully to others, resilience in the face of criticism, and endurance for their long hours of work. Lord, bless the land of our farmers that we may receive its produce to sustain and bless the community. We pray for our police force, paramedics, fire brigade and SES as they come to our aid. We thank you for the quick work of essential energy staff in restoring power to the region yesterday. Bless the businesses of Temora Shire, the sporting and arts groups, voluntary organisations, aged care facilities and places of learning. Bless our medical, nursing and pharmacy staff as they provide care for us. We give you thanks for the work of our Temora Shire councillors, council management and staff. Give them alertness of mind and clarity of speech, patience and wisdom as they work together, especially during this meeting, for the people of Temora Shire. May their work make a tangible difference and give them satisfaction. We ask these things in the name of the Lord Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Reverend. A beautiful, beautiful prayer. Thank you. Our acknowledgement of country. As we begin our meeting today, Temora Shire Council acknowledge the traditional owners of Temora Shire's land and waters, the Wiradjuri people. We acknowledge their continued connection to country and culture, and we pay our heartfelt respects to elders both past and present, acknowledging their contribution to the Temora Shire community, a place we all call home. So I thank you for that, and now we go to apologies. The General Manager.
Through you, Mr Mayor, we have an apology from Councillor Irvine and an apology from the Director of Environmental Services. Thank you.
Thank you. No further apologies. Someone move that the apologies. Thank you, Councillor Dukic. Seconded the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair. Moved and seconded. All those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you very much. Any declaration of any interest, councillors, at this time, please? No, that's fine. You can, if you think of it later, as a report arises, you can raise it then. Let's now go to confirmation, please, of the minutes of our February meeting of Temora Shire Council. However, I will note, councillors, that there was indeed an oversight that we did not record Councillor Irvine voting against in relation to the gravel report. The General Manager?
Through you, Mr Mayor, it's in the assets and operations minutes, so I don't know if you want to deal with that now or in that next section.
Yes, yes. Thank you. So would someone care to move that the minutes of the February meeting be adopted? Thank you, Councillor Smith. Thank you, Councillor Dukic. Moved, seconded. All those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you. Any matters arising? Thank you, General Manager.
No, thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. We do not have a mayoral minute, so let's go to our business paper. So we start on page 9, the Temora Agriculture Innovation Centre Partnership Committee meeting was held on the 11th of March, and the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair, is the chairman.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I'll move the report be received.
Thank you. The Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair, has moved that the report is received. Is there a seconder for the motion, please? Councillor Mann, thank you. Moved, seconded. All those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. Declare the motion carried unanimously. Thank you. The Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair, is the chairman. Do you have anything you wish to highlight out of the Temora Agriculture Innovation Centre Partnership Committee meeting?
No, Mr Mayor, just two update reports.
Thank you. Councillors, any comments, questions? If not, Councillor Judd.
Oh, I don't know, it was brought up in Delhi's report, but since then we also had the meet the board with Councillor Sinclair and myself were there, and the General Manager, and very pleased to see that former District Agronomist Frank McGrath has joined the board, and I feel a lot more confident having someone like that Frank on that board. Frank came to Temora as an agronomist back in 81, and I don't know what year he left, but he certainly had a lot of history with the former research station and the former growers like Ron Martin and Glenn Robertson, and bringing that experience and history to the board is certainly worthwhile, I think. So, yeah.
Thank you very much, Councillor Judd. Well, you have the Temora Agriculture Innovation Centre Partnership Committee meeting minutes and recommendations. Is there a motion? Do I have a motion to adopt the report and recommendations, or do I have an alternate motion? The Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair.
I'll move that the report be adopted as is.
Thank you. The Deputy Mayor has moved that the Temora Agriculture Innovation Centre Partnership Committee meeting report and recommendations be adopted. Seconder for the motion, please. Councillor Judd, thank you. Moved, seconded, discussion. There's no discussion. I will put the motion to, and again ask you to please, if you're in favour, to say aye, and if those the contrary say no. So all those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. Declare the motion carried unanimously. Thank you very much. Let's go over, councillors, to page 29, the minutes of the Assets and Operations Committee. And that was, I was getting ahead of myself. I apologise for that. In relation to, of course, page 97. Thank you. Just for the information of councillors, that Councillor Irvine, in relation to 4.3, the gravel request, that Councillor Irvine had voted against the committee resolution on page 97 down the bottom there. So that has been, of course, since rectified, because we have a few, as you know, take minutes, and that was captured as well through that system. So we apologise that it wasn't reflected on the actual business paper when that was initially sent out. So, the Assets and Operations Committee report, and the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair, is the chairman.
Mr Mayor, I'll move the report be received.
Thank you. The Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair, has moved. The report is received, and Councillor Smith has seconded the motion. All those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. I declare the motion carried unanimously. Thank you. The Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair, do you have anything you wish to highlight out of the Assets and Operations Committee report?
No, not at this stage, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Councillors, any items that you wish to highlight? No. If not, is someone prepared to move the Assets and Operations Committee report recommendations be adopted, or is there an alternate view? Councillor Dukic, the Deputy Mayor.
I'll second.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair, seconded the motion. Moved, seconded. Discussion. There's no discussion. I'll put the motion to you. All those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. I declare the motion carried unanimously. Thank you very much. Councillors, we have the Traffic Committee report for Temora Shire Council. However, and Councillor Smith is the chairman, and I sit on it as the parliamentary representative, but it was unable to be held due to a lack of a quorum. So the General Manager, I think your advice is that report be carried over.
Through you, Mr Mayor, yes, until that traffic committee can meet, that those reports be carried over till that, as such time that meeting can go ahead.
Would you like a resolution? Would you like a resolution?
Through you, Mr Mayor, yes, a resolution would be helpful that they be noted and carried over. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Smith is the chairman of that committee. Are you happy to move that way? Thank you. Second for the motion, please. Second. Thank you, Councillor Dukic. Moved, seconded. Discussion. There's no discussion. I'll put the motion. All those in favour. Oh, sorry. I beg your pardon. Councillor Judd. Discussion on the motion.
Oh, just a question about the cycling event, which is coming up. Just wonder whether we need to okay that or whether it's been done.
Thank you, Councillor Judd. I did raise that earlier with the General Manager. The Secretary.
Through you, Mr Mayor, it's all been sorted with Transport for New South Wales and New South Wales Police. They're aware of the event. They don't see any concerns as it's not a racing event, it's just a charity ride. So they leave from Dubbo and head to Leeton. They're stopping over the night in Temora as well, and then they just take off the next day.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Councillor Judd.
So we don't have to approve anything at all.
Okay, thank you for that. And the Traffic Committee, if this motion's passed, will reconvene as soon as possible. So again, on the motion of Councillor Smith and Councillor Dukic, it's moved that we receive the report and defer the business of the Traffic Committee for a future date. All those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. I declare the motion carried unanimously. Thank you very, very much. Now, let's go to page 258, the delegates' reports. We have delegates' reports, please. I will go now to Councillor Smith.
On Sunday, I attended the Springdale Hall Committee, and everything went as planned. There was nothing exciting happening, and so I just report that you will get a report for that for a later date. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. Further delegates' reports. I go to the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair.
Yeah, there's some listed up there already, but yesterday, along with the General Manager and the Director of Admin and Finance, we attended the Real Fire Service Liaison Committee. update on what's happening there.
Thank you.
And I also attended the Embrace Temora festival on Sunday as well.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor. Further delegates' reports. Councillor Mann.
Yeah, Mr Mayor, I attended the fundraising concert at Area Park the other day, which is up there, but then I also spent a fair bit of time with Councillor Judd doing a tour of Area Park and having a look at what he's got proposed and what the Shire's been up to. I found it very informative.
That's great. Thanks, Councillor Mania. Councillor Judd did say that he gave you a tour, and I think it's I think it's great to be able to do that. I had a turn last year, and it's it is an eye opener, and I think they appreciate that we make the time to do that. So thank you, Councillor Mann. I now go to Councillor Hawken.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I attended the Take the Lead Youth graduation dinner on the 3rd of March, and it was great just being a part of that to celebrate the 4 young people who graduated from that program. They spoke very highly of their youth mentors on the night, which was fantastic. So it's really, really good to see leadership in that area growing. Also attended the social media training delivered here at the council chambers from Dr. Neril East. I think it's important in a world where social media is ever changing and continues to grow that we have the skills to sort of adapt with that. So that was great training. And the Embrace Festival, now in its 3rd year, again, that's the first one I've been able to attend, and the conditions on the day weren't great, but there was people coming throughout the whole day to attend that event, and talking to community members and going around to the different stalls. It's great to celebrate that diversity in our community. So really well done to the organisers. Yep.
Thank you, Councillor Hawken. Further delegates' reports. Councillor Judd.
Yeah, thanks, Mr Mayor. Yeah, the ones listed there, I attended the evening with the Meet the Pollies. It was good to get some asking questions about our state member and a federal member. Also the social media training. I mentioned before about meeting the Farm Link board in a barbecue, and I was there, and Frank McRae came up to me, and I sort of half didn't recognise him. He said, "Oh, no, I was," and I said, "Frank, you've turned grey since I've seen." So I've probably lost hair and everything. Yeah, it's funny how you haven't seen people in a while, but it was great catching up with Frank, and had the whole committee annual meeting. All sort of got problems in the future of trying to find enough use, because the present use for the physiotherapy, the lady's building a new premises in Area Park, and once it's up, she'll be moving out. And but we'll keep working on it. And we had the fundraising concert on Sunday, and featured 2 of our local major community projects, which Area Park's been involved in. It was when we built the hall back in '54 after the previous one burnt down, and comment was, that they're made out of crushed rock and cement walls with steel trusses and the steel iron roof, and the community at the time was going to make sure the hall wasn't going to burn down in a hurry again. So, but also followed up in 1960-61 with the building of Area Park Pool. So anyway, there's 2 great charities at Area Park that got a benefit from the visit by the choirs. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Judd. And I understand that the Area Park Marul Bomber veterans performed perhaps better than what some may have expected.
No, it was sort of made the afternoon. It's good having the Wagga Choir there, but have the locals sort of performing as well, and it was certainly sort of made it. Plus, it brought more people as well, because there were more people involved. So it was great to see the hall being used and the hall full of people. So.
Exactly. Thanks very much, Councillor Judd. Just for Council's information, I also went to the Embrace Festival. I could only stay for an hour, but it was just you couldn't believe all the organisation that our team and others put into it, and just an awful day, but just how encouraging it was that, you know, some still were able to attend and support that particular occasion. Also, just to advise Council, as per the Council resolution from February, we had the General Manager, the Director of Administration and Finance, the Executive Manager of Engineering Services and the Town Planner, a special guest at an extraordinary meeting of the Sports Council last night to consider the proposed sport ground and facilities fees and charges. And I have to say, they did an exceptional job in delivering the proposal to the delegates, and the delegates conducted themselves very, very well, as you'd expect. And the couple of organisations that would like to take offline and discuss further the proposal, that's being facilitated as we speak. But I have to say, councillors, the manner and the spirit that was there, I thought was very genuine and very, very positive, and they understand that the status quo can't continue in that space in terms of recouping the 2.5% of the total expenditure. But again, I want to say well done to the General Manager, the Director, the Executive Manager and the Town Planner for the efforts that you've put in to date, but particularly in the manner in which you conducted yourselves last night. And let's continue to proceed and get the job done, and I'm sure Council look forward to seeing further developments in that space in due course. The last thing, Councillors, that I needed to share, that I had a meeting with the CEO of Frankwood Masonic Homes, Mr. Mamoralis, and just to advise Council that they have put in an application there's a particular emergency fund for a new greenstone. So they've applied under that particular program. So they wanted you to know that, and let's hope and pray that it comes off, because it's we all know just how important it is, that's for sure. So that's my reports. Further delegates' reports? No. Councillor Smith.
Yes, I attended the Greyhounds on Sunday after the Springdale Hall meeting, and I was running a bit late because one of the chairman of the Springdale Hall was running 3/4 of an hour late, and that put everybody late.
Oh no.
Anyway.
Better late than never.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Smith, for representing Council at the CUP meeting, and understand it went exceedingly well.
40,000 bucks.
Excellent. Very good. Thank you very much to all of those delegates for representing Council in those capacities. Let's go over to page 259, the Mayor's report for the month of February. And there's a recommendation on page 262 that the Mayor's report be noted. Thank you. The Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair, has moved the recommendation that the Mayor's report be noted. Seconder. Thank you, Councillor Smith. Moved, seconded, discussion. There's no discussion. I shall put the motion to you. All those of that opinion, please say aye. The contrary, no. Declare the motion carried unanimously. Thank you very much. Over to page 263. Motion, please, to receive staff reports. Councillor Bushell, Councillor Hawken, moved, seconded. All those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. Declare the motion carried unanimously. Thank you. Let us proceed to page 264. The General Manager's report, 12.1, the calendar of events for March 2025. The General Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The report is as written. Happy to take any questions. Probably just would like to note that we've got the Assets and Operations Committee meeting for the 6th of May scheduled to be held out at Area Park. So just for all those councillors that attend that meeting, that one will be located out at Area Park. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Madam General Manager. And just for Council's information, of course, we have our Country Mayors Association meeting next week, on Thursday, Friday, and the General Manager and I just had advice that we've actually got a meeting with the Treasurer, so we're very, very pleased about that, to be able to ask him how is he going with his work in relation to the Rural Fire Service assets issue and the, of course, Emergency Services Levy. He has personally been doing work, as we understand, in that space, and we're encouraged to ask him how he's going with that alleged great work. And so we're very, very grateful, because he's very, very hard to get into. So we look forward to seeing the Treasurer next Thursday, amongst other ministerial meetings as well, which we'll advise Council of. Any other items out of the calendar of events? The Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Just back to the Treasurer and so forth at the Rural Fire Service. The Ozone Committee yesterday, the manager there spoke about taking over the assets from council, and now I think it's going to be they're talking about being a 2-year period, starting with the trucks for a start and working through everything else. So they seem to know quite a bit about what's happening, but it hasn't gone through Parliament or anything yet. So, yeah.
Very encouraging, Mr Deputy Mayor. Thank you for that. But I have to say, if this does happen, the government deserve full praise and acknowledgement if indeed this gets off the ground, as we feel that it may, because I think that there's been a long-standing debate, as you all know, about that particular issue, and I know that there's been a lot of work happen behind the scenes, and I'm very proud again of Temora Shire for standing firm in relation to not declaring those assets. Councillors, there's a recommendation at the bottom of page 264 that the calendar of events be noted. Thank you, Councillor Hawken. Thank you, Councillor Mann. Moved, seconded. Further discussion? There's no further discussion. I'll put the motion. All those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. Declare the motion carried unanimously. Thank you. Councillors, over to page 265, 12.2, Local Government New South Wales Annual Conference for 2025. The General Manager.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The dates are out for the annual conference, and this is an opportunity for Council to identify attendees and who the voting delegate will be ahead of that conference.
Thank you. Councillors, you have the report there, and of course the conference this year will be at the Panthers in Penrith and Western Sydney Conference Centre. So Penrith City Council being the host council. So councillors, I certainly am able to make myself available. I think the Deputy Mayor, you're unable to, just given the time of year with harvest, which we understand. Councillor Judd, you're happy, and I think Councillor Bushell, you indicated an interest. So the Mayor, Councillor Judd, Councillor Bushell, is there any other? So what do we normally have? The General Manager, Mayor and two. Okay, so would someone like to move that they be the appointed as the delegates, the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair?
Mr Mayor, I'll move that those people be the delegates for the annual conference,
And that,
the Mayor be the voting delegate.
thank you. The Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair, has moved that way. Seconder for the motion. Thank you, Councillor Hawken. Moved, seconded. Is there further discussion? There's no further discussion. I'll put the motion to you. All those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. I declare the motion carried unanimously. Thank you, councillors. Let's proceed over to page 266, 12.3, submission to the New South Wales Premier's Department on the draft Regional Communities Consultation Guide. The General Manager.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Council was asked to make a submission on this draft guide. Unfortunately, the timing of the submission closing has meant that that had to be submitted prior to endorsement by Council, but we are recommending that the submission contents be supported by Council.
Thank you, Madam General Manager. The Council, you have the report there for you. It's read as a fairly bland report, but still, quite frankly, an important document, really. At the same time, there is a recommendation there for Council to consider that Council endorse a submission made to the New South Wales Premier's Department on the draft Regional Communities Consultation Guide, GUIDE. Thank you. Is someone prepared to move that, or is there another motion? Thank you. The Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair.
Mr Mayor, I'll move the recommendation on the bottom 268.
Thank you. The Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair, is moving the recommendation that the submission be endorsed. Is there a seconder for the submission? Thank you, Councillor Hawken. Moved, seconded, discussion. There's no discussion. I'll put the motion to you. All those of that opinion, please say aye. On the contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you. Councillors, over to page 269, 12.4, the ALGA, Australian Local Government Association, Put Our Community First campaign. A very important report. The General Manager.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. We've received correspondence inviting Council to join this campaign and suggesting that it's important to get a resolution of Council for that. So that is the recommendation that you have before you. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Madam General Manager. I also think that it's important to note that, of course, as part of that campaign, it's not just that extra amount of money, which is a significant amount of money, although it's got to be spread across 537 councils across Australia, but also it does, of course, include that restoration of the 1% of the financial assistance grants, and of course not at the cost of other grant programs that exist for local government. And councillors, in considering the recommendation, I certainly, from the chair, would like to see that we also write as an extension to point 3 to the leaders of all parties in the upper and lower houses of the Commonwealth Parliament, because let's remember, whatever the result of the election, it may well be that some of the minor parties or crossbenchers may have a significant influence in various outcomes. So, you have on the bottom of page 271 a recommendation to consider with hopefully the words that I've just shared that you may like to add. Councillor Bushell.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I did have an inquiry about when do the local candidates get officially announced?
You mean that are standing for Riverina?
Yes.
Yeah, well, I understand that they have declared their hand. However, well, many of them, unless when the writs are issued for the election, I would think that they have a certain period of time that they have to nominate, as we do as councillors as well. So, and of course, if this recommendation was passed, timing's everything. We're just waiting on the Prime Minister.
Yeah, I wondered how item 3 was going to align. Are we going to hold off on these letters for a little bit to then submit, or how does that all work? That was my inquiry. Thank you.
No. Thanks, Councillor Bushell. You need to. It's great that we're asking, because if you don't know. we do need to ask, and so we're hoping that the Prime Minister will announce the election date in the next week or two, perhaps. Councillor Judd.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. As I said earlier, I attended the Meet the Police session, and I know the Deputy Mayor put it to the federal member about the 1% restoration, and I've heard Michael's response before, so it doesn't sound very promising from the coalition point of view. So, but anyway, we've got to keep pushing that. So, thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Judd. No, it doesn't sound promising from the coalition, nor does it sound promising from the current government. I certainly know from Country Mayor's perspective, we've written to all our Prime Minister, Mr Dutton, Mr Littleproud, Senator Hanson, among others, and we hadn't received a response from anyone at all until I think yesterday, Madam General Manager, where the Federal Shadow Minister for Local Government and Regional Development, Mr Chester, has indicated he'd like to meet via Zoom with the Executive Board of CMA. Otherwise, we haven't had a response at all, and one of the responses I did have from a Member of Parliament I did not like at all, suggesting that perhaps this will be a very, very difficult ask. But again, local government are fighters, as I think all of you are aware, and from national, state, local level, I think that we've got to continue to fight hard and fairly. But you know, when you that 1%, that restoration, that is just so crucial at an absolute minimum. So, councillors, you have the report and recommendations there for you to consider. The Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair.
I'll move the recommendation with the addition to point 3 of the also write to the leaders of the upper house parties, upper and lower house parties.
Thank you. Seconded, Councillor Smith. Thank you very much. Moved, seconded. Is there discussion, further discussion? If not, I'll put the motion to you. All those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. I declare the motion carried unanimously, and thank you very much for that. Now, Madam General Manager, do you have anything of an urgent, late nature, please?
Through you, Mr Mayor, no, I don't. Thank you.
Thank you. Page 272, the Engineering Services Department report. There's nil to report in that department, but I understand all things are going swimmingly.
Yes, Mr Mayor.
No, thank you very much. Let's go to page 273, the Environmental Services Department reports. 14.1, Area Park Sewerage Service Options, Community Meeting Outcomes. The Town Planner is the Acting Director. The Acting Director.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The report is as written. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Madam Acting Director. Councillors, you see a very detailed report. What was our fine system up to? In the fees and charges list. Councillor Judd, did you wish to comment in relation to this particular report, 14.1 on page 273? Councillor Judd? Oh, sorry, Councillor Bush.
Yeah, we've been through the process, and yeah, it's an interesting meeting. But some of the ones that were at the previous meeting last year weren't at this one, so it sort of wasn't. And some of the residents are a bit more relaxed to express their opinion about the cost of changing over. But I agree with the recommendation number point 2 of the town planner has put forward. I agree with the sentiments expressed by our Director of Environmental Service, Mr Dunson, that council must do something though. We just can't go through this process and not do something. And if we're not going to have a reticulated sewage system, we must have an incentive scheme to allow people to change over to an aerated wastewater treatment system. And I think we can have a system that's put there as an incentive. I agree with the director that I don't think it'll be very much an impost on council, because I can only see a couple of applications per year, if that, in the future. So, but I think we must be seen to be proactive in trying to encourage people to have a better sewage system in area park. So that's my comments at this stage.
Thanks very much, Councillor Judd. We'll go to Councillor Bushell. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I was quite interested with the grants program. I was a little bit offended to think that it was solely for area park. That's how I interpreted the report. Without the council having an on-site sewage waste management strategy that I'm aware of, we need to sort of probably be more proactive, not just in that village solely. There is other smaller lots within our shire that could benefit from a fund. So I'd hate to see, if we ever did plan to put in the budget, that it was solely for area park, and make sure that that was clear through the guidelines.
Thanks very much, Councillor Bushell. I go back to Councillor Judd.
Oh, just in response to Councillor Bushell, the thing with area park is we've got about 90 quarter-acre blocks in area park that haven't got much choice about doing a new system. And so whether that applies to other parts of the Shire, I'm not sure. But any new development's got to go with an aerated system anyway. But we're trying to encourage someone to get rid of the old systems we've got out there. And while it's probably dry weather, most of them are going to cope. It's when we get into probably the wet years that's going to be a big problem.
Thank you, Councillor Judd. The Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair.
Thanks, Mayor. My biggest concern with this is somewhere down the track, and maybe not that far away, there may be the state government might just say, well, there's no choice in this, you've got to go to some sort of a proper system, which I'm sure, well, you'd like to think if they did that, they'd be certainly put some funding towards it, but I think we need to be careful spending too much money in area park. I mean, from what I understand, there's no great problems out there. There's not a lot of, I don't think council gets many complaints about what's there already. So, if people want to change over, that's good, and it'd be good to see them, but I think we need to be careful about council actually putting too much money up to do that.
Excuse me, making a lot of money tonight.
So, look, I think if council's going to go down that way, we need to have some sort of a policy about how that may work, and how much involvement council would have in it.
Thanks, Mr Deputy Mayor. I like the idea of that policy framework that you're suggesting. I'll go to Councillor Bushell.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just further trying to highlight my emphasis on that, I don't think it should be solely for area park if it's ever considered. I straight away look at Springdale. There's a major creek waterway through that area. It's a flooded area. All those houses along there are all on septic. I see them also as a priority if this process of a grant scheme was to be enacted. In saying that though, I think we need to see more information about a grants program from our staff, how they're going to set it up. But, it all is to do with money, and if we don't have money in the budget, then it's not, quantified. So, but anyway, I just would like to see that we have to also think about other properties within our shire, not just area park.
And that's where, thank you, Councillor Bush, and that's where if council went down the path of a policy framework, that perhaps all those things can be considered. Councillor Mann.
Yeah, no, that's what I was just going to say. We need to do a costing. We're talking about a grants program without a costing. So before we go any further, the staff need to do a costing, then bring it back to the council meeting.
Thank you, Councillor Martin. We'll go to the Acting Director of Environmental Services.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So, yes, that was the intention of that recommendation, to at least gauge council's appetite of their interest of staff doing more work to present to you, and I will, if that is the wish of council, I will take on the concept of developing a policy that could be brought back to council before there's further decision making, and some costings estimates about the level of budget allocation that may be required. Also, touching back to the Deputy Mayor's point about what the state government may impose on councils in relation to villages that do not have reticulated sewer. So the advice that we have received so far is that there are hundreds of villages throughout New South Wales that are in a similar situation to Area Park, and many of those villages are deemed to be much higher level risk than Area Park because they're coastal, they're in a water catchment, there's other factors such as flooding that make them much higher risk of water contamination. So if there was to be a mandate to try to collect many of these villages onto a reticulated system, I think Area Park would be a much lower priority for the New South Wales Government.
Thank you, Madam Acting Director. So councillors, we've had some important debate around this issue, and what I'm hearing is that that obviously, in terms of the recommendation on page 276, that number one, not pursue a reticulated sewage system for Area Park Village, of course, you're keen on. Whether you're wanting to move that a draft policy in relation to the matter may be the way to go. So I'm in your hands. Councillor Bushell.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. With my research, I couldn't find an on-site wastewater management strategy for our council. So I think that has to happen first and foremost before we put a policy forward, because we don't have a strategy for the whole of the Shire for any on-site that I'm aware of that has been adopted.
Thank you, Councillor Bushell. We'll go to the Executive Manager, Engineering Services.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I'd just probably support Councillor Bushell's remarks. You know, I think proactive's one way, giving money away, the other way is to regulate. And if something's broken, you ask the resident to fix it.
Thank you, Mr Executive Manager. Councillor Bushell.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So I'd like to move a motion that council not pursue a reticulated sewage system for Area Park Village, and item 2 be that Temora Shire Council commence the process of producing an on-site sewage wastewater management strategy or management plan, and then come back with the findings from that to then consider this option for 2.
Thank you, Councillor Bushell. Have we captured that motion, please? So, Councillor Bushell, can you just repeat the motion again? Thank you.
So item 2, I think item 1 was clarified.
So item 1's fine, yep.
So item 2 is that in the absence of an adopted on-site sewage wastewater management strategy or plan, as they're called, that we do that first prior to developing a grants program.
Yeah, so we probably don't need the latter part, but just the main thing, that the General Manager create an on-site waste management strategy and report back to Council in due course. Yep, okay, thank you. Councillor Bushell, is there a, once we get that up there, just for councillors, thank you. So, Councillor Bushell, just before I ask for a second, we'll just get it. The motion, 1, not pursue, that council not pursue a reticulated sewage system for Area Park Village, and point 2, that the General Manager create an on-site waste management strategy, or draft, I suppose you'd call it, a draft waste management strategy, and report back to council, full stop. So you're happy with that, Councillor Bushell?
Does it have to say that the General Manager, or it's that the council create?
The General Manager the General Manager.
Through you, Mr Mayor, the only council officer you can direct is the General Manager.
Thank you.
So I will delegate that work to someone who's much more technically able than myself. However, as a council, that is the only staff member you can direct.
Yep, thank you. So Councillor Bushel's happy with that. Now do I have a seconder for the motion, please? Thank you. The Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair, has seconded the motion. Discussion on the motion? There's no discussion on the motion. I will put it to you. All those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. Declare the motion carried unanimously. Thank you very much. Let's now go to page 277, 14.2, the Local Small Commitments Allocation Grant Approval, and the Acting Director.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. This report has been provided for Council's information about an amount of funding that Council has received in relation to Temora West Park. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Madam Acting Director. Councillors, you see there was a tremendous opportunity, and of course, looking at the, our various planning documents, we've found something that was more than suitable for that 7,600. Councillor Bushell.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Congratulations, staff, on finding that, and I'd like to move the motion or the recommendation.
Thank you. Councillor Bushell is moving that Council confirm the decision of Council officers to accept the LSCA funding for additional seating at Temora West Park. Is there a seconder for the motion? Thank you, Councillor Hawken. Moved, seconded, discussion. There's no discussion. I shall put the motion to you. All those of that opinion, please say aye. Contrary, no. Declare the motion carried unanimously. Thank you very much. Now, over to page 279, 14.3, the draft Bundawarra Estate Management Plan, and that again is in the hands of the Acting Director.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So this report follows on from the Assets and Operation Committee meeting. So at that meeting, councillors were able to give some additional direction to the consultant who attended via Zoom, as well as council officers. And so there's some notes there that came from councillors at that meeting. So the consultant has taken that information on board and has been in touch with me to improve the plan in response to those items. And there's a recommendation there for council to consider about placing the plan on public exhibition, noting that there will be further opportunity for affected residents and councillors and any members of the community who wish to comment on the plan should council decide to place it on public exhibition.
Thank you, Madam Acting Director. The councillors have the report there in relation to draft Bundawarra Estate Master Plan. Very exciting plan. And there is a recommendation on page 280 for you to consider. And of course, being a planning decision, we'll need a show of hands when the motion is put. Councillor Smith.
Move the recommendation.
Sorry, Councillor Smith.
Move the recommendation.
Thank you. Councillor Smith has moved the recommendation. That is, 1, endorse the draft Bundawarra Estate Master Plan. Endorse that the draft Bundawarra Estate Master Plan is placed in public exhibition, and 2, receive a further report once the public exhibition is completed. So Councillor Smith has moved that way. Seconder for the motion. Thank you. The Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair. Moved, seconded. Further discussion? There's no discussion. We'll put the motion. All those of that opinion, please raise your hands. Carried unanimously. Thank you very much. Is there anything further of an urgent late nature from the Acting Director?
No, thank you, Mr Mayor.
No, thanks very much. Let's go to page 281, the Administration Finance Department report, 15.1, the taxiway construction and land purchase. The Director.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So just a report seeking Council's endorsement to apply for a $600,000 loan from T Corp, which it's proposed would be repaid over 5 years. and the purpose of the loan is to support the purchase of land and the construction of a taxiway at our airport. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Madam Director. Councillor, you have again another important report there for you to consider, and there is a recommendation on page 282 for you to consider. Oh, I go now to the General Manager. I thought you were saying I've done something wrong.
No, thank you, Mr Mayor. Just reviewing that recommendation, I think we should make it explicit that the loan is from T Corp. We've referenced that within the body of the report, but I'm recommending that we add that to be explicit in the recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you. So we're looking at, it is recommended that Council applies for 600,000 T Corp, New South Wales T Corp loan for the taxiway construction and land purchase to be repaid over 5 years. Okay, thank you. So there's a recommendation there, councillors, for you to consider. Councillor Sinclair, the Deputy Mayor.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I'd like to move the recommendation that the council applies for the $600,000 T Corp loan.
Thank you. The Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair, has moved that direction. Is there a second for the motion, please? Is there a second? Councillor Mann has seconded the motion. Thank you. Moved, seconded. Is there discussion? There's no discussion. I mean, we've had a lot of discussion, of course, previously, and but again, I'll ask once more. If there's no further discussion, I will put the motion to you. All those of that opinion, please say aye. Aye. To the contrary, no. Declare the motion carried unanimously. Thank you very much. Very good. Let's proceed over to page 283. Correspondence, we have nil. Business with notice, we have nil. Notice of motion, nil. Is there any urgent business without notice, please? No, thank you. Over on page 284, motion please to receive the councillor's information paper. Thank you. Councillor Bushell has moved that way. Seconded, Councillor Hawken. Thank you. Moved, seconded. All those of that opinion, please say aye. Aye. To the contrary, no. I declare the motion carried unanimously. Thank you. Councillors, you'll see there are several items there for you. For your information, and thank the General Manager for the report in relation to her General Manager's forum in New Zealand. A marvellous opportunity. Councillor Bushell.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I just wanted to thank the General Manager for answering my inquiry to items in the information paper. I felt there was a need to get our works report sort of maybe structured a little bit differently to showcase where our funding for certain elements are. I felt there could have been perceived by the community regarding Currajong Street being sealed, and the approval of the 20 lot subdivision could be perceived as some, error within. Currajong Street was approved for funding way back when, so thank you for letting us know that and the new councillors be aware. The other reason why I brought it to a front is because I have copped some criticism regarding some sort of elements through the Shire, for instance, the bowling club lane footpath, how that got expedited through the process, but that was another funding process that we met the guidelines, and that's why it got put forward over other footpaths. So I just think that if we can educate our residents that sometimes these opportunities arise and they meet certain needs, and that's why they go before others. So I just wanted to make sure that that was clarified.
No, thank you, Councillor Bush, and I think any way that we can enhance and improve areas where needed, I think is a positive thing. You'd like to think that the overwhelming majority would not assume the worst of council, and I think that is certainly still the case. But if we can assist in educating, that's a positive thing. Any other items, councillors, in the information paper? I think the one thing, the Acting Director, I'd like you to please take on notice, just on page 292 in the Regulatory Control report, and of course our Ranger is just outstanding job in what he does. I'm just a little concerned that where the scooters and bikes are not being monitored as they have been, and I think that still is an issue, whether we do a walk and talk tour or some of us that have businesses in the street, and we're just hearing it constantly. So that's just something that if we can just at least maintain those inspections, please, when possible. Thank you. Any other items, councillors? No, if not, in accordance with Section 10A of the Local Government Act, I advise that there are several items that are deemed, or actually one item that is deemed confidential, and therefore I require a motion to have that matter considered. Thank you. Councillor Sinclair, the Deputy Mayor, has moved that way. Seconder. Thank you, Councillor Hawken. Moved. Seconded. All those of that opinion, please say aye. On the contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you. Councillors, we resume into open council, and I now invite the General Manager to advise the motions that have been considered by Council in closed session. Thank you. The General Manager.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. In relation to the report ex-Cyclone Alfred, it was resolved that Council promotes the Give It service and the registered appeals to the community. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you very much. Would someone then please move that we formally adopt that motion that has been brought forward from closed into open? Thank you. Councillor Smith, the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair moved, seconded. All those of that opinion, please say aye. The contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you. Is there any further urgent late business? If not, I thank you very much for your attendance, and I declare the meeting closed.